right, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through Romeo and Juliet in as simple a way as possible and give ideas. So Romeo and Juliet is one of Shakespeare's stories. And what I've done in this webinar, in this presentation, I've taken images from the Romeo and Juliet film, which was directed by Franco Zeffirelli, I'm not sure, and in the 60s, I think it was, or in the 70s. Must have been early 70s, I think, maybe 1972, I'm not sure. And the stars of that film were Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting. I don't know if any of you have seen this film, but it is absolutely fabulous film. Of course, now it is dated, but Olivia Hussey was so beautiful, and Leonard Whiting was such a lovely Romeo, that it's become a classic, really. There's also, for older children, the one that my kids loved is the one with Leonardo DiCaprio. And if you're slightly older, they do need to be a bit older to see this, but you're from like sort of 11 or 12 years upwards, I think they would really enjoy that Romeo and Juliet, which is it's a set in Brazil, I think, a sort of modern day Brazil, but Leonardo DiCaprio is just amazing Romeo, and it's a very different take on it, but it's all exactly the same language. It's Shakespeare's language. And my kids really got interested in Romeo and Juliet in Shakespeare's language through watching that film, actually. So, yeah, he was, yes, Leo, good old Leo. And he got an Oscar. Hooray! We love Leo. All right, so this is Romeo and Juliet. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can tell the story of Romeo and Juliet very simply and suggest activities which we can do in the Young Learner classroom. Okay, so once upon a time there was a beautiful girl called Juliet, and she lived in Italy in a town called Verona. All right, so we've already tried to give the children a bit of a sense of history. We can also try to give them a little bit of a sense of geography. And whenever I mention a country in the class, I always get out the map. See if they can find Italy on the map. Here I've just got a small map of Europe, mostly Western Europe here, actually. But you could get a bigger map and see, can they find Italy? I always start, can they find their own country? And of course, when they're very young, they never can. So it's something we have to teach, and then you practice it again and again. They're always losing where the country is, but they gradually get a sense of there are so many countries in the world. And then you could give them a map outline of Italy, and can they find that boot shape, because Italy is shaped like a boot. Can they find that boot shape on the map, and that's Italy. And then within Italy is the country of Verona. And then you could always go on from that about where people live and where do they live and what is the map of their town, etc., of their country. All right, and this is Romeo, and he lived in Verona too, and he saw Juliet and said, she is very beautiful. All right, of course, in Shakespeare we had much more beautiful language than that, but I say we're keeping it simple. Romeo loved Juliet, and Juliet loved Romeo. All right, the phrase I love you is a phrase that children know anyway. They learn it outside of school, even if they don't learn it in the school. It's one of those phrases. Or people now say, I heart you, don't they? Okay, with the symbol of the heart, I heart you. Anyway, so Romeo loved Juliet and Juliet loved Romeo. So with the very young learners, we can practice saying this, who do you love? And they can think about who they love. I love you, Mum. I love you, my doggy. I love you, my teddy. I love you, teacher. I love, etc. Their friends. And you can have a little practice of how you say I love you. And how do you say it? Do you just say, oh, I love you? Or do you say it with more passion? So we can start to use these simple drama activities of actually getting some expression in our voice. Yeah, we can say it in different ways. Okay, and then we can go on from that. He's beautiful, she's beautiful, it's beautiful. And here we can practice the verb to be. So when do we say he and when do we say she? And I think these things, they seem simple, but I think these things need a lot of practice with little ones. And what I do is I get a load of toys. Or you can do it in the class, but it's fun with little stuffed animals and toys. And then you get the children to decide, is this bee, is it a boy or is it a girl? What about the giraffe? Is it a boy or is it a girl? And you put them in different places, the boy toys and the girl boys. And then we can tell them how beautiful. So he's beautiful, the bee's beautiful. She's beautiful. Oh, we're talking about the rabbit. We can guess which one we're saying. And these are just little things that make this drill work, actually. It's just drilling. The he is beautiful, she is beautiful, and it's beautiful. It's just drill work, really. But we can do it in more dynamic ways like this, involving the toys. Okay. All right, so then we're going on with the story. Right, okay, it already starts getting complicated. The trouble with all of Shakespeare's plays is they are all really, really complicated. All right, so anyway, Romeo's father didn't like Juliet's father. Okay, if you want, you can always put that, you can put all of this into the present tense as well. So, I don't like you. So they were against the marriage. They didn't like it. They said, no, you mustn't get married. Now, you will have to explain what get married means. And, of course, you can do that with pictures. You can talk about weddings that the children have been to. Have they ever been bridesmaids, etc., etc. So you can do a lot of work on weddings and what happens at weddings as well. I haven't gone into that there, but that's another whole slant you can get into. All right, so he said, no, you mustn't get married. Oh, dear. So, okay. All right, so we can talk about, he's forbidding them. So, no, you mustn't do that. So we can work on that language as well. So when do the children hear people saying, you mustn't? All right, you might give them some ideas, and then you can let them continue. Maybe their parents say, you mustn't jump on the bed. Or maybe you say, you mustn't play football in the classroom. And then, so let them come up with their own ideas, or what their parents tell them they mustn't do at home, and what do you tell them they mustn't do at school. And why do we say we mustn't? We nearly always say we mustn't for two reasons. One is because it's something dangerous, or two, because it's something rude, and that will hurt other people, either emotionally or physically. And those are the two main reasons, that we're keeping the children safe, or we're teaching them to be polite, we're teaching them to be kind. So we can talk about these things with them, and what are the different ways of why are we saying mustn't for these different things. So really you're bringing a little bit of values here to this as well. And then if you want to go on with the drama activities, we can think about, how do people say you mustn't? And do we usually say it quietly, or do we say it loudly? So it depends, because it's often much more powerful to say you mustn't to somebody very, very quietly. But in fact, especially in schools, we as teachers, we usually tell them we mustn't do something loudly. So, you must stop playing football. Yes, you mustn't play football. Sit down, go away, get out of here. So once the children have come up with their own ideas of what we say with must or mustn't, then they can practice saying things loudly or quietly. And yes, as Joanna here says, you also need the proper facial expression. That if you say you mustn't play football in the classroom with a smile, nobody's going to take any notice of you. So absolutely, yes. So you're going to be expressing your emotions physically, through your appearance and through the tone of your voice as well. So all these things are different little drama techniques. Okay. All right, so they were told they mustn't get married, but Romeo and Juliet run away. Okay, so they run away. Now this is quite an exciting thing. I think children usually like the idea of running away, especially toddlers, but of course we're probably not talking about toddlers here. But okay, so the children, Romeo and Juliet run away and they get married. And they don't tell anyone they are married. It's a secret. Okay. All right. So then we can do some work on secrets. So it's a secret. Now then, it's quite interesting. What do the children think? Is it good to have secrets? Well, you can start up a discussion about this, because sometimes it's great fun to have a secret. If you buy someone a present, but you don't want to tell them about it yet, then that's a secret, and it's a good secret. But, I mean, let the children tell you if they think that's a good secret or a bad secret. But can the children think of any times when secrets are bad? What do they think? Well, of course, secrets can be very distressing for children in classes. They're not good when you're hiding something wrong. That makes you feel bad. It makes you feel very bad if you've got a secret, if you've done something wrong in class, and you know that you should tell the teacher, but you haven't, then that makes a child feel very bad and very worried. And of course, the terrible thing for children is if two friends keep a secret from another friend, then that might make them feel sad and left out. So you can start up a discussion about it, and again, it's an interesting thing to do with values, really, and of encouraging children not to keep such secrets, because the people and don't forget that if two friends keep a secret from another friend, the friend who is left out feels sad, but actually those two friends who keep a secret, they think they feel good about it, but actually they don't. They feel bad as well. People don't feel nice when they're excluding someone else. So it might be worth having a little sort of conversation with the children about that. And especially if you do have such issues in your classroom, it might be a way of sorting some of them out. Yes, it is. It's like bullying. It's like bullying, keeping a secret like that. Yeah. But it's in a sort of sly way. It's in a slyer way. So children should be encouraged not to feel like that, not to do those things. And then again, how do we say it's a secret? Do we usually whisper it or do we shout it? Well, it's a secret. We nearly always whisper it. And then it's fun whispering, it's a secret. And you can do this with any language. You can say the same thing with different tones of voices. Again, it's a drama technique, but it's a way of drilling, practicing language again and again. You say the same thing whispering, say the same thing shouting, say the same thing chanting, say the same thing as if you're angry, the same thing loudly, quietly, etc. You're just practicing the same language. Okay. So then there's a fight in Verona. Oh, all right. So there's a fight, and it's a sword fight. Goodness me, how exciting. All right. So, of course, in the actual play, these sword fights are brilliant. Two men are fighting. Their names are Tybalt and Mercutio. Mercutio is Romeo's friend, and Tybalt is Juliet's cousin. All right, you might not want to go into all that detail. As I say, it's really difficult to get it so simple enough, actually. There's so many. I've already left out loads of bits. But anyway, this is the basis of the story. All right, so, all right, oh no, oh dear, how awful. Tybalt kills Mercutio. Oh, it was an accident. All right, well, it's great fun, actually, pretending to kill each other. Pretending to be dead. Now, it does have to be controlled in the classroom, obviously. And one way in which you can do it is you can have sword fights with cardboard tubes, and they make safe swords. Look what I've just bought. Hang on, I don't know if you can see it. Wait, there we are. Can you see this? It's a foam rubber sword. Okay. And I've actually just bought it for my little granddaughters. I bought two of them. They're 2.5, and they love having sword fights. But as I say, you do have to be careful. But this is a harmless one. You can buy this in like toy shops. It's just you see it's bendy. All right, so it's a foam rubber sword. I can't wait for them. They haven't seen them yet. They're a surprise for them. But cardboard tubes are okay as well. Now then, with the little ones, what you can do is you can explain, because with cardboard tubes and with foam rubber swords, they can hit each other's swords. And the thing is that you have to make sure they don't hit each other, all right? But you can have great fun pretending to be hit and pretending to be hurt. Okay, so somebody hits you, oh! All right, you can overact like mad. You can fall down. You could even, if you were in the playground, you could even involve tomato ketchup for fake blood. All right, but that's only, of course, if that's only if they're wearing clothes that can have ketchup on them. I think you might have a lot of angry parents, actually. So this is something you could do at home in the garden with the children. Said that. All right, okay. But anyway, so it is fun to have this sort. And of course, when they see, and you can explain to them that actors don't hit each other at all. They are never hurt. And they just pretend to be hit, and they pretend to be hurt. And it's actually much more fun doing that than actually, and of course you can start hitting each other. And for goodness sake, obviously you're not going to do this, but you don't let the whole class have a sword fight at once. Otherwise, that's it. You'll just have to be, you'll never get out of the classroom. So you do it in pairs. You get 2 children out. All right. And pair the children who are, not going to hurt each other. Don't pair enemies. Anyway, but I do believe that you can have fun with all of that. All right. Okay. So Romeo is very angry. Oh, gosh, because Mercutio has been killed. Even though it was an accident, you see, Romeo was hot-headed and he got very angry. And then Romeo kills Tybalt. Oh, and that means that he has killed Juliet's cousin. Oh, no. All right, this is not looking good, is it? Oh, dear. All right, so I'm angry. Now, then we can start talking about what it's like when you're angry. So Romeo was very angry. And then let's talk about this with the children. So what do they do? What do you do when you're angry? And give the children some ideas and let them continue. So do they cry? Do they maybe hide in their bedroom? Children often hide if they're angry. Do they throw things on the floor? Or do they maybe run around the garden or run outside somewhere? And you could use this, talking about Romeo being angry, to talk about anger management. Yes, it is great for role-playing, Tamara. Yes, exactly. So we can play the role of being angry. And then we can think now, it is, as we know, when we're primary teachers, a lot of it is about teaching the children life skills and building them up with inner resources that they need. So are there better ways that they could handle their anger? Is it better, throwing things around or crying or throwing things on the floor? That's what little children do, like when they're 2, 2.5, maybe 3. But gradually what they need to do is to start to handle their anger better. And the children might be able to give each other ideas, and you could definitely give each other ideas of how you could handle feel less angry. It might be, I think there's never too young to learn that you always have a choice in how you react to anything. You don't have to let your emotions get the better of you. You feel that they do get the better of you, but you always do have a choice. And learning to count to 10 and to think about things and to think, do I need to be angry now? Why am I angry, etc. I think you're never too young to start to think about these things. And these are things that we can suggest to them. Yes, that's right. And it's better for them to calm down, etc. Yep. Okay, so now, of course, this is the trouble. When one person gets angry, everybody else gets angry. That's the trouble with anger, and you can point this out. So the Prince of Verona is now very angry. He's angry with Romeo, and he says, "Go away, Romeo. Go away from Verona and never come back." Okay, so he's been told to go away. So, they might think, what would it be like if somebody tells you to go away? How do they feel? So, of course, it's not a good thing, is it? And now, everyone's angry. And as I said, that's the trouble with anger. It makes everything horrible. Okay. But you can, if you want to get away from anger now, you can have fun pretending to be the Prince of Verona. All right, so in those days, the Prince of Verona would have been a very grand person. And you could use some simple props and some costumes. How might a prince stand? How might a prince walk and talk? And we can think about those things. Why do some people stand up very straight and talk very well and loudly? And why do some people talk like this? So how might a prince say, go away? So again, these are all simple role plays that we can do. And you could even with the language that we've got so far, you could start to act out a whole little scene of Romeo and Juliet with very simple props and costumes. Okay. Oh dear, now we've got another emotion as well. Now Juliet is very sad. Look at poor Juliet. She's absolutely distraught. So then we can think about what we do when we're sad. Now then, maybe we cry. Maybe we hide in our bedroom again. Maybe we even throw our books on the floor. And are some of the things the same as when we're angry? Maybe when we're angry, we're also sad. Because when you're angry, you never feel good. And you're sad with yourself, actually, aren't you? You're sad or something. So you could use this to start a conversation with the children about their emotions and what they do. And have they ever felt sad? When do they feel sad? And I think that thinking about being sad, that often we just think, well, you're sad when a pet dies, or you're sad when an old person dies. But actually, children aren't always sad at those times. It's adults who make us sad. Children often accept death much more than we think they're going to be, that they're going to do. But they might very well feel sad if two friends are keeping a secret for them. That might really affect them and make them. So it might be that you could start thinking about when do they really feel sad. Okay. And then how do we say things? What is our voice like? How do we sit? Are we all running around when we're sad? What are we doing when we're sad? How are we moving, etc. All right, and then Juliet's mother and father say, marry this man. They don't know that Romeo and Juliet are married. His name is Paris, and we like him. All right, and you can show the children the pictures of Paris and of Romeo. Who do they like? Who do they think looks nice? Well, everyone's going to say Romeo, because look at Paris. Who'd want to get married to Paris? Not me. All right, okay, so Juliet thought, oh no, I love Romeo. I'm married to Romeo. It's a secret, you see. Oh, this secret is going to come to no good, is it? All right, and then, as I say, it's complicated. So this is where the story gets really complicated, but it isn't actually more complicated than your average fairy tale. All right, so what I have done is I've tried to keep it really simple. It took me ages to write a simple version, this simple version of Romeo and Juliet. Keep having to sort of miss things out or think, how can we say this in a simple way? All right, so as you can see, it is complicated because now Juliet pretends to be dead. Oh, okay. So she drinks a special medicine and it makes her go to sleep. And her mother and father think she's dead. And they are very sad. So the children might or might not have fun pretending to drink poison. It's up to you if you think you want to do this. And then pretending to be dead. As I say, the children might just think it's fabulous fun because it's the kind of thing that happens in fairy tales. Now then, it depends on, I don't know if you've ever seen animals pretending to be dead to escape something. But it's quite stunning. I once saw a little group of ducks who were being chased by a wild dog. And all of a sudden, all the ducks just lay down flat and stretched right out and pretend to be dead. They were completely motionless. So, animals do this. They pretend to be dead. They play dead. And it's very effective. The dog just went away. I think they can somehow make their heartbeat go very slow. Their pulse rate goes slow as well. I'm not sure about the animals. But it is fascinating, and it might be something that the children have seen as well. So you might want to talk about this. And then, okay, so now Juliet's pretending to be dead, and Romeo now comes back to Verona. All right. And he sees Juliet, and he thinks she's dead. Oh, dear. So it just goes to show that keeping secrets is not a good thing. This is the moral, isn't it? And then he drinks poison, and now Romeo really is dead. All right, okay. All right, oh dear. All right, but Juliet's not dead. Okay. And then Juliet wakes up. I told you it's complicated. Well, you know this. All right, and then she sees Romeo, and he really is dead. And then she's very sad again. And then she kills herself with a dagger. And again, you could have fun with a cardboard tube or something. Obviously, you tell the children they must never play with sharp objects. But pretending to kill yourself and falling down dead is quite a fun thing to do for a child. All right, and then so now they're both really dead. And so now everyone is very sad. All right. And then, of course, and quite rightly now, the Prince of Verona is angry with the two families because they were the ones that caused all of this. And he says, Romeo and Juliet are dead because you were always arguing. All right. Romeo's family and Juliet's family know that he is right. And now they're sorry. But it is too late. All right. So this is, yes, it's very sad, a very sad moment in the story when they realize that they've lost these two beautiful people. So, but it is a real moral of the story as well, isn't it? That the anger and the rage and the secrets caused of all this. So here's the moral of the story. Too much passion, too much anger, and too many arguments caused a great tragedy. And I think that is something that children can always learn as well, that if you do things too much, it's often bad, isn't it? You can, if you do things a little bit, then it's okay for everybody. And Shakespeare's stories are always complicated. But you can use scenes and characters. You don't have to use the whole story. You can use scenes and characters to whet the children's appetites. You could introduce them to King Lear raging in the storm. That's a fun bit. Lady Macbeth washing her hands of imaginary blood. Magical Titania or Funny Old Bottom. He's the one with the donkey's head. I read, incidentally, just recently, I read an interview with the actress Helen Mirren. She played, she's the actress who played the Queen in the film The Queen. You might know her from there, but she's a great Shakespearean actress as well, she was. She's been in lots of films. And she said that when she was young, she was a child, and she started to read Shakespeare's stories, but she wasn't reading the whole play. They're too complicated for children to read. And for many adults, they're too complicated as well. But what she was doing was she was picking out the best bits. And that is actually how we can really enjoy Shakespeare, especially with young learners, picking out the best bits, picking out the best characters and having fun with it. And then when you finished it, you could even end your Shakespeare sessions with a classic scene from The Winter's Tale. This is one of Shakespeare's stage direction, Exit, pursued by a bear. Okay, well, that's it from me. That's it from me. Thank you all very much for joining in with all the comments as well. I hope I've given you some ideas. I say it was quite difficult to make the story simple enough. And I don't think all stories can be made that simple, but all of Shakespeare's stories. But I say you can have fun with the different characters. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. And we got 240 people here. I think that's a record. Thank you very much indeed. It's been lovely. And I hope to see you again soon on another webinar. Thank you very much indeed.